Our speaker this morning is Mr. Ash. Mr. Ash graduated from the Hill in 2006. He is a college counselor and strength coach. He lives in Pine Court with his family. Mr. Ash?
Good morning. I want to start with these simple words that have guided me through a lot of hard moments in my life. So what? Now, I don't mean so what in a sarcastic or flippant way. I mean it as a real question. So what now? So what next? So what do I make of this? Those words have been a compass for me, especially when things didn't go the way I planned. Because if there's one thing that has shown up again and again in my life, it's this. The most profound opportunities in my life were second chances. After a little failure, a little humility, and a lot of rejection. When I was in junior high school, I applied to the Hill School. I remember it clearly, holding that envelope, tearing it open, and reading those first lines. Thank you for your application to the Hill School. We regret to inform you. That was the first real no I can remember. And it stung. At that age, rejection feels personal. It feels like you weren't enough. I remember sitting there with the letter in my hands, not really sure what to do next. And my dad looked at me, calm as you would expect from a big Midwestern man, and said, "So what?" Not get over it, not stop feeling sorry for yourself. It was his way of saying, so what are you going to do about it? So what comes next? That stuck with me. The next day I did something most people don't do after getting rejection. I called the admissions office. And I asked, so what could I do better? I didn't realize it at the time, but this moment, me on the phone, embarrassed, nervous, asking questions, and for the first time I really learned how to respond to disappointment. I didn't call to change the decision, but to prepare for the next try. That conversation gave me direction. I worked harder, focused on what they told me to improve, and I reapplied. On that second attempt, I was admitted. That second chance didn't just open a door. It completely changed the course of my life. Now, fourth formers, listen closely to this one. When I was a fourth former, I met the most beautiful woman in the world. And, like most fourth form boys, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Thank you. I decided to ask her out, so I came up with what I thought was a fantastic idea for a first date. I asked her if she wanted to hang out in a hot tub. That wasn't supposed to be the funniest part. Okay. She said no, immediately. And as a father of two daughters, I certainly know she absolutely should have said no. That was my first try, and for a while I thought that was it. She wasn't interested. I blew it. But then I asked myself, so what? So what now? What do I make of this? The truth was I did really like her, so I tried again, but differently. On that second attempt, I dropped the awkward pitch and just spoke the truth. What would I need to do to get to know you? I'd be willing to meet her anywhere, anytime, just to get to know her better. And that attempt worked. She arranged for me to meet her entire family as a first date. So a different vibe than I was expecting as a fourth former. That second chance turned into the most important, deepest, and most authentic relationship of my life. And very, very fortunately, I only had to ask her once to marry me. It's cute, right? Yeah. A few years later, it happened again. I applied to the college I wanted to attend, got waitlisted. At first, I was frustrated. Yet another, not yet. But then I started to recognize the pattern. The first time teaches you something if you're paying attention. So what I did was use this time to reflect, to send updates, to show I was still serious and interested, and eventually I was accepted. Looking back, I'm glad I didn't get in right away. Because if I had, I might not have appreciated it in the same way. The waiting, the uncertainty forced me to grow a little. And that college experience ended up shaping who I am today. So fast forward more than a few years. I'm older now, out of school, building my career, yet never too old to learn. I get a call from Miss Hoyt about coming to work at Hill. My old school, the place that changed everything for me. I thought, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. I applied, I interviewed, I was hopeful. And then I didn't get it. I still remember when Miss Hoyt delivered the news. She probably expected frustration, but my response surprised her. I apologized that she had to be the one to share the tough news, then asked how I could improve if another opportunity ever came up. It would have been easy to take that no personally and assume the door was closed. But instead, I went back to the same question I'd learned to ask years earlier with that first rejection letter. So what could I do better next time? She gave me honest, helpful feedback, and I listened. I worked, I learned, I waited. The following year, she called me again. Second time seemed like fate. And that second try brought me back here, to this community that shaped me in the first place. Here's what I've learned. The first time tests you, the second time transforms you. But what really defines you is how you act in between. It's that time I judge myself by. Was I pouting? Was I bitter? Or was I strong, patient, and humble enough to prepare for the next shot? Because the in-betweens is where most life happens. Not in the big victories, not in the big defeats, but in the space between them. That's where your character takes shape. That's where you decide who you are. So, what about you? Where in your life might you be waiting for a second try? Maybe it's a class that didn't go the way you wanted. Maybe it's a team you didn't make, or a relationship that didn't work out, or a college said no or not yet, or a goal you fell short on. Ask yourself, so what? So what now? So what next? So what do I make of this? Because those questions, the ones you ask after the first failure, are what make the second chance possible. For me, it's fitting to share this message today. Because here I am giving a chapel talk, not in my first year, but my second. Not during my first time at Hill, but my second go-around. And as I think back to that first rejection letter, I can still hear my Father's voice asking me the same question. So what? I owe my career, my family, my education, and my perspective to those two words. It's a question worth carrying with you. Because if I've learned anything, from rejection letters to hot tub invitations to job applications, it's this. The second time just might be the best time. Thank you.